Scott here, and we're back again with Jamar from Reyes Restoration. And today we're looking at water damage, but also looking at mold, because obviously these two things go hand in hand. So, Jamar, why does water damage lead to mold so often? And is it actually preventable? Can you prevent mold when there's been water damage?
So 9 times out of 10, when there's mold involved, it's because it's been neglected when it was just a water issue. So the best way to prevent that is when and if you even suspect that you have any type of water damage, to give us a call immediately to schedule an appointment for an inspection.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, what is it about water damage that makes mold grow?
So it's like a food source. So there's multiple things that mold needs to grow. Water is one of them. So that the spores can stick to that material and start to grow. Amongst other things that it needs is just not just water, but there's other factors that plays a fact in mold growth.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, you've got spores around us all the time, just from the outside world getting blown into our houses.
Correct.
What is it that actually causes that mold to grow into a problem? Is it just the moisture, or are there other things?
No, there's other things as well.
Okay.
Stagnant air. They like to grow in dark places, definitely with stagnant air, so no lack of airflow will also help to grow the mold.
Mm-hmm. And how quickly can that start to happen in the event of a water damage, a leak, a burst pipe, whatever?
Generally speaking, the rule of thumb is within 48 to 72 hours it can begin to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess once it's once it's got a foothold, it's much more difficult to get rid of. Would you agree with that?
If you're trying to get rid of it on your own, yes. If you're calling a professional in for assistance, no.
So what is it that a professional would do that a regular homeowner wouldn't?
Well, first off, we have the proper tools to remediate the mold. Secondly, we know where to look, and we do a thorough inspection. And we also have clearance testing to verify that all mold has been remediated properly.
And that's probably the really important part that a homeowner just would not have access to, regardless. Like, if you're going to go through all this effort to remove what can be quite a dangerous thing for your health, you got to make sure it's all gone, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so when you're drying a space and it looks dry, why does that not always mean that it is actually dry?
Because without the proper equipment, like we use hygrometers to test the moisture content, without having those, and I'm not talking the cheap ones that you get from Home Depot for $99, they are not effective at all. We use really high-end professional equipment that costs thousands of dollars, but without having that, then there's no way to know if it's 100% dry. It could feel dry to the touch, but the meters definitely read the proper moisture content.
Mm-hmm. And why would it feel dry to the touch, but it's actually still wet? Can you explain that?
Um, because let's use drywall, or matter of fact, a sill plate, which is the 2x4 at the bottom of the walls. So the top surface may seem like and feel like it's dry, but the meters are actually reading all the way through to tell them make sure that there's no moisture that's on the inside of that building material, and also with drywall. So the drywall, you can touch the face of the drywall, but how can you tell the content on all the way throughout that piece of drywall? You can't, not without a proper meter that's going to read all the way through.
And if it's not fully dry, I guess that's where you can get mold growth, even though you think you've dried the area, or
Yes, sir.
even structural stuff. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how are you able to dry something all the way through? Is it just a case of getting these massive fans in the room, or is there something else?
We use a mixture of air movers. That's our technical term in the industry, is air movers, not a fan, and dehumidifiers. The dehumidifier will pull the moisture out. The air gives us circulation to move the molecules around.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If a homeowner finds they got a mold thing, so typical thing would be like under a sink, or even if they take out some drywall and they realize there's been moisture behind there for ages, can they remove that by themselves, and can they kind of prevent it from happening again, or does it always require you guys to come in?
So could they? They could. Do I recommend it? No. Again, they aren't
Okay.
professionals.
Hmm.
It's not that they can't do it, but we wear PPE, personal protective equipment, and we use the proper equipment with removing, whether we're setting up containments to prevent cross contamination. It's best to always call in a professional. Now, as far as the prevention part, I guess it's kind of tough to say to prevent mold growth
Mm.
because you never know. You can always have a hidden leak behind a wall. At that point, you can't really prevent it necessarily, because again, if it's in a pipe that's behind a wall, but there's a vanity cabinet there, well, that pipe can leak for a long time before the water seeps through and affects the vanity or the floor outside of the vanity. So at that
Hmm.
point, if it's going on for a long period of time, by the time you notice the water, we can go and remove the vanity and not see any mold until the vanity is removed. And then we see mold on the backside of the drywall. Now, we also don't call it mold unless we have it tested. We typically refer to it as biological growth until we bring
Okay.
in our hygienist that'll come and test and verify the fact that it is mold.
Hmm. And do you have a hygienist on your crew?
We do. No, I'm sorry, not on our crew. It's actually subbed out, and
Okay.
we use a company, and it's called Simple Mold Solutions.
Hmm.
They've been in the industry a pretty long time.
Yeah, that's good. So you've got someone trusted that you work with, and do the job right. That's good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Um, so what's the biggest misconception that homeowners typically have about mold?
The biggest conception, in my opinion, is that they think it's deadly, and then when they see it, they make the assumption that it is mold, and it's normally black, so they'll consider it to be black mold, which
Hmm.
black mold is actually known as Stachybotrys. But again, you can't just assume that that's what it is without it being tested. There's plenty
Hmm.
of different molds that are black in color, but in fact are not Stachybotrys. Therefore, it's not exactly black mold.
Mm. You know, depending on your health condition, I know mold can be quite dangerous, and some people are completely unaffected by mold regardless. Um, in your experience going into these homes, what proportion of people would you say no, you need to get this sorted because of a health concern?
Um, Elderly or people with respiratory issues.
Hmm. And how many of those would you typically see out of interest? Is it like the majority of your mold cases that are that type of person?
Um, I'd say it's 50-50. It's a mixture.
Okay. Yeah, because I know some people have said like 25% of people have a particular sensitivity to mold that actually makes it a more significant health concern, kind of regardless of the respiratory impact as well. Um, yeah, mold
Now,
can be gone.
if that I'm not sure of. I don't know the statistics on that. But
Hmm.
just to my understanding, I know that I would definitely tell a client that's either elderly or made it known that they have respiratory issues or even newborn children
Hmm.
as well. Those ones I would make sure that I tell them that, look, we definitely should take care of this for you. Um, but and obviously wouldn't want them in the house while we're doing that as well.
Yeah, of course. Is that what you typically recommend that people vacate the property while you're doing your work?
We always like to have them leave when we're doing a mold remediation,
Hmm.
if at all possible, depending on conditions. If it's down in a basement that's not occupied very much, we can put up barriers to block the basement off from the rest of the house. But
Hmm.
we always set up a containment no matter what and have a cleaning chamber as well when we're moving out of the affected area.
Hmm. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean that's good to know, and good to know that you're on it with the containment because I know that's a big thing with mold as well.
Oh, yes,
Um,
sir. We don't want it to spread throughout the rest of the house.
yeah, and that's I guess again that's the one of the really big things that a homeowner can get wrong because they'll try and clean it themselves, and then
Yeah,
6 months later they've got an even worse problem.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, whereas
That could be bad.
we Yeah, you guys know how to contain it properly. You guys know how to do everything in the right way so that you don't make the problem worse and it actually gets better once you've removed the material.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again for your time, and we'll speak again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.